The deepest kind of humiliation isn't loud. It's the quiet, cutting kind. The kind that makes people shrink in silence while others pretend not to notice. For Marcus and Danielle Lewis, that kind of humiliation hit them square in the chest the night they walked into the Riverside Grand Hotel with their 2 young children. It was supposed to be a special night, their wedding anniversary, a night they'd worked hard for, a night to celebrate love and perseverance. But instead they got her. Karen. She was behind the front desk, her blonde bob rigid, her smile brittle and thin as glass. And the moment she laid eyes on Marcus, Danielle, and their children, her demeanor changed. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her tone flat, eyes narrowing like they had dragged dirt across her lobby. Marcus adjusted his tie, confused but calm. "We have a reservation, Lewis, under Marcus Lewis." Karen tapped on the keyboard without even looking at the screen. "I'm sorry, we're fully booked. You'll have to leave." Danielle leaned forward, eyebrows furrowing. "That's impossible. We booked weeks ago. This was supposed to be our anniversary celebration." Karen crossed her arms. "Like I said, fully booked. Maybe try a motel down the road." The words hit like a slap. Guests lounging in the lobby shifted uncomfortably, some whispering, some recording discreetly. Marcus pulled out his phone, opening the email confirmation. "Here, our booking, paid in full. 2 rooms for tonight and tomorrow." Karen didn't even glance at the screen. Instead, she gave a smirk that made Danielle's stomach twist. "I don't care what piece of paper you have, we don't have space. This is a luxury hotel. Our standards are very high." The insult wasn't subtle. It wasn't meant to be. Danielle's hand gripped Marcus's. Their children clung to her dress, confused by the tension. Marcus's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "So what you're saying, in front of all these people, is that you're denying us service, not because there's no room, but because you don't think we belong here." Karen's smirk widened. "You can take it however you want. The answer is still no." The lobby fell silent. Guests looked around nervously. A family nearby whispered, "This isn't right," while another guest muttered, "She's going to regret this." But Karen didn't stop. She picked up the phone, pretending to call security. "If you don't leave now, I'll have you escorted out. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Danielle's heart pounded. The children's eyes welled with tears. Marcus placed a calming hand on his son's shoulder, then looked directly at Karen. His eyes, calm but steady, held a weight she clearly didn't understand. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "you're making a very big mistake." Karen leaned back in her chair, smug. "The only mistake here is you thinking you could ever afford to stay here in the first place." Gasps rippled through the lobby. Phones were raised higher. The tension was unbearable. Marcus sighed, then exchanged a look with Danielle. She nodded. He reached into his briefcase, pulled out a leather folder, and placed it gently on the counter. The gold emblem embossed on the cover gleamed under the chandelier light. Karen frowned, flipping it open. Her face went pale. Inside was an identification badge with Marcus's photo, his title beneath it in bold letters. Chief Executive Officer, Lewis International Hotels, and beneath that, Danielle's matching badge. Chief Operating Officer, Lewis International Hotels. The entire lobby erupted in murmurs. Guests gasped, some clapped, others laughed at the crushing irony. Karen's lips trembled. This isn't... Marcus's voice cut through her stammer. "Yes, this hotel, this chain is ours. My wife and I own every Riverside Grand in the country, including this one." Danielle stepped forward, her voice sharp but steady. "And right now, every guest here has witnessed exactly how you treat the very people who sign your paycheck." The crowd applauded, phones flashing as they recorded Karen's humiliation. Karen staggered back, her confidence crumbling. I didn't know. Marcus's expression hardened. "That's the problem. You didn't care to know. You saw our skin before you saw our humanity. And now the entire world will see exactly what you are." Guests cheered louder. Some booed at Karen. One man shouted, "Justice served." Karen's face turned red, then pale again. She tried to regain her composure, clutching her name badge like a shield. "Please, But Marcus raised a hand. "Save it. You'll have plenty of time to explain yourself to corporate..." "Oh, wait." He gave a cold smile. "That would be us." The lobby roared with laughter. Karen lowered her head, utterly humiliated. Danielle guided the children forward, her voice clear. "Come on, kids, let's check into the presidential suite. After all, we own it." The staff rushed forward, apologizing profusely, ushering them to the elevators with the kind of respect Karen had refused to give. The cameras followed them, capturing every step. For a moment, justice seemed complete. The underdog had risen, the arrogant had fallen, and the world had watched it all unfold. Marcus and Danielle had turned the tables. The lobby was buzzing with applause, laughter, and whispers of justice served. For the first time that evening, Danielle allowed herself to exhale. But just as Karen lowered her head in shame, she suddenly straightened, her face twisting into something more venomous than embarrassed. "Do you think this changes anything?" she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut through the applause. "So you own this hotel. Big deal. People like me will never have to answer to people like you." The room froze. The audience's murmurs shifted from supportive to outraged. Marcus's jaw clenched. "People like you mean racists who abuse their position?" Karen smirked, but there was a flicker of desperation in her eyes. "Call me whatever you want, but I've worked here for 15 years. Everyone knows me. The staff, the guests, they'll side with me, not you." The words hung heavy in the air. For the first time, the children looked scared again. Danielle's protective arm pulled them closer. From the corner of the lobby, the assistant manager, a young woman in uniform, stepped forward. "No, Karen, you're wrong." She turned toward Marcus and Danielle. "Sir, ma'am, I've seen how she's treated people. You're not the first family she's tried to humiliate." The crowd gasped. Another employee raised his hand. "Last week she turned away a veteran in a wheelchair, said his service dog wasn't welcome." Murmurs of disgust spread through the room. Guests shook their heads. Phones kept recording. Karen's face blanched, then reddened with fury. "Lies, all lies, you're just jealous of me." Marcus leaned in, his voice low but powerful. "Karen, you've just confessed your true colors in front of dozens of witnesses and half a dozen cameras. This isn't just about us anymore. This is about everyone you've tried to demean. Tonight is the end of the road for you." The crowd erupted in cheers, chanting, "Justice! Justice!" Karen, breathing heavily, clutched the desk as though it could hold her upright. Then, with a trembling hand, she pulled something from under the counter, her phone. She dialed furiously, her voice shrill. "You'll regret this. I'm calling the board. They'll shut you down. They don't want your kind running this place." The lobby went dead silent. Marcus stared at her, eyes narrowing. "The board?" Karen sneered. "Oh, you didn't know? The investors, the ones who really control this hotel chain, they've been waiting for a reason to get rid of you. And thanks to tonight, I just gave it to them." Danielle's heart dropped. She looked at Marcus, who stood frozen for a moment. Then he gave the faintest nod, like he'd just confirmed a suspicion he'd carried for months. The elevator dinged behind them, waiting to take the family upstairs. But Marcus didn't move. The room was thick with suspense. The guests who had cheered moments ago now shifted nervously, realizing the fight wasn't over. Marcus finally spoke, his tone quiet but chilling. "You've just shown your hand, Karen. You're not working alone." Karen's smile returned, small, smug, and dangerous. "Oh, I never do." And with that, she slipped out from behind the desk and stormed out of the lobby, phone pressed tightly to her ear. Marcus exchanged a worried glance with Danielle. He picked up the leather folder with his CEO badge and clutched it tight. This wasn't just about Karen anymore. This was about power, money, and enemies hiding in plain sight. As the elevator doors closed around the Lewis family, one thought burned in Marcus's mind. Karen was just the spark. The real fire was about to begin. The Lewises realize Karen is connected to powerful board members who secretly want to oust them. What started as one woman's prejudice may turn into a battle for their entire hotel empire. If you're really enjoying this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you never miss my latest uploads. Now let's dive back into the story. The elevator carried Marcus, Danielle, and their children up to their suite, but none of them spoke. The buzz of celebration from the lobby was still echoing in their ears, but Karen's last words, "I never work alone," hung heavier than anything else. Danielle finally broke the silence. "Marcus, do you think she was bluffing?" Marcus shook his head slowly, his jaw tightening. "No. Karen's too arrogant to invent something like that. She's connected to someone, and I think I know who." The doors opened to the presidential suite, but the family's excitement from earlier was gone. Marcus walked straight to the desk, pulled out his laptop, and began typing furiously. Danielle put a hand on his shoulder. "What are you doing?" "Checking the board's last meeting minutes," Marcus said. "I had a feeling some members were pushing back against me owning this chain." Karen's reaction just confirmed it. He scrolled through documents, his eyes narrowing with every page. Then he found it, a note in the minutes. Discussion. Concerns raised by certain members regarding the direction of the company under new ownership. Suggest reassessment of leadership position. Danielle's breath caught. "They're plotting to remove you. And Karen," Marcus added grimly, "is their pawn." The next morning, Marcus called an emergency meeting with the hotel staff. The same employees who had witnessed the lobby drama gathered in the conference room. Karen wasn't there. She hadn't shown up for work, but her shadow loomed over every conversation. Marcus stood tall at the head of the table. "I need to be honest with you. Last night wasn't just about one racist employee. It was about a deeper problem. Karen wasn't acting alone. She was working with people who wanted to see me fail. People who don't want families like mine leading this company." Murmurs rippled across the room. Some staff members nodded, others looked worried. Then the assistant manager, the young woman who had spoken up the night before, stood. "Sir, we believe you, and we're with you. Karen made this a toxic place for too long. If there's a fight coming, you won't face it alone." The room erupted with agreement. For the first time since the confrontation, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. "Thank you, because this isn't just my fight. It's all of ours. And together, we're going to expose the truth." But even as he spoke, storm clouds gathered. That evening, Marcus received an official email from the board. Emergency meeting scheduled. Attendance is mandatory. Agenda: review of ownership and leadership structure. Danielle's eyes widened when she read it over his shoulder. "They're moving against you already." Marcus leaned back, exhaling slowly. "Then we give them what they fear most, truth in front of witnesses." The boardroom the next day was icy cold. 12 men and women sat around a polished oak table, their faces unreadable. At the far end sat Richard Cole, a silver-haired board member who had opposed Marcus's leadership from day one. "Mr. Lewis," Richard began, his tone dripping with false courtesy, "we've received troubling reports about your behavior at the downtown hotel. A disturbance, accusations of unprofessional conduct." Marcus didn't flinch. "Those accusations came from Karen, the same employee who tried to deny my family a room because of our skin color. And when she realized she couldn't win, she threatened me with you." Gasps echoed across the table. Richard's smile twitched. "That's outrageous. She must have been mistaken." Marcus clicked a remote. The screen behind him lit up. Video footage from the hotel lobby appeared. The entire confrontation, captured by guests on their phones. Karen's shrill voice filled the room. "People like me will never have to answer to people like you." Board members shifted uncomfortably. Some covered their mouths. Marcus's voice cut through the silence. "This is what she said, in my hotel, in front of staff and customers, and she claimed she was acting on behalf of members of this board." All eyes turned to Richard, his face reddened. "Marcus," he sputtered, "surely you're not suggesting—" "I'm not suggesting," Marcus interrupted sharply. "I'm showing." He clicked again. The next video played, grainy but clear enough. Karen outside the hotel after the confrontation, speaking into her phone. "Don't worry, Richard. I won't let him embarrass you. The board will take care of this." The room exploded. Gasps, whispers, even shouts filled the air. One board member slammed a fist on the table. "Richard, is this true? You colluded with staff to undermine our CEO?" Richard tried to speak, but his voice cracked. She misunderstood." But no one was listening. Security entered the room at the board's order. Richard's protest turned into desperate pleas as he was escorted out, his career in ruins. Justice had been served. Marcus stood taller than ever, his voice steady and strong. "Prejudice has no place in our hotels, not in our staff, not in our leadership, and not in this boardroom. From today forward, this company belongs to the people who believe in dignity, respect, and equality." The board erupted in applause. Danielle, watching from the back, felt tears of pride. For once, Marcus had not only defended his family, he had changed the course of the company forever. But just as the applause faded, Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced down at the message and his blood ran cold. It was from Karen. "You may have beaten Richard, but you haven't beaten me. I know something about you, Marcus, something that will destroy everything you've built." The boardroom blurred around him. Danielle's smile faded when she saw his expression. "What is it?" she whispered. Marcus locked eyes with her, his voice low and tight. "She's not finished, and whatever she has, and it could be worse than anything we've faced." The room was filled with victory, but Marcus felt the weight of war pressing down again. The fight wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Life lesson. Prejudice thrives in silence, but when truth is revealed, justice becomes unstoppable. Always stand firm against hate, because courage inspires change in ways fear never can. If you were in Marcus's shoes, would you have exposed Richard publicly or handled it quietly behind closed doors? Comment your answer below, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this.